Testing, testing, testing. Okay, that's what I'm praying. Salagia, just give me one moment. Just gotta make sure everything's too long first. All right, Shalom Yahweh Shabbat to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Shamar Alatha Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai to the sisters. We are the Isupk, which is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. We've been teaching the truth, which is that all so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, Salakia, are God's chosen people since 1969. Now, for those who have tuned in last Sabbath service, right, we were going over some things of what you can and cannot do of the Sabbath. Just a brief recap. We read the book of Nehemiah, chapter 11, started from verse 1, and we were going over some things that were happening during the time where, we were living amongst Moabites and Ammonites. And you could pretty much relate that to today's world where Blacks and Hispanics and Natives are living in America. We're living against Slovakia amongst many other nations. You got your Ammonites, who are the so-called Japanese, Moabites, who are the so-called Chinese, the Edomites, who are the so-called white man today, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one of the things I wanted to go over, of course, is integration, right? Integration is a very, very, very big problem within our community. We want to be a part of other nations, right? And there's many accounts in the Bible as to what happens when we choose to associate ourselves amongst other nations, right? So we're going to be going more over the book of Numbers, chapter 22. If you tuned in last cast, I'll do a quick recap for you once we get started. We'll go back into Nehemiah chapter 11. At that time, there was a priest by the name of Eliashib who was allying with a heathen. I believe his name was Tobias, right? Now, in our culture, the Lord commands that we do not let other nations within our congregations, our holy services, right? Our temples. The Lord forbids integration. And you can read it all amongst the Bible. I mean, you can go over it in King Solomon, right? And go read about that. You can read about Samson, a brother who was messing with a heathen woman, et cetera, et cetera. But we're going to be going a little bit more in depth of why you should not integrate with other nations. So we're going to start in Nehemiah chapter 11, but we're going to go over more into it in Numbers chapter 22. So Salagi, I'll just give everybody a brief moment. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to the video. And then we'll be getting started with the Lord's Prayer. Shalom, 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 Akwathium. All right, with that being said, Amizim, just me up here, which means to stand. La Yasharala, which is Hebrew for to Israel. Amadiam upon Yahakwadam, which means to stand and face the east. Sisters, remember to have your heads covered. Brothers, remember to have your heads uncovered when doing the prayers. We'll begin to start with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Salaki. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak with Ka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamaya, Latanmanawa, Lakam, Call, Yawam, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawath Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawath Yanawa, Wala'a, Tabaya Nawa, Banasaiwan, Abol, Habashai Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahataparath, Lawalumium, Aman. Now the Lord's Prayer in the English. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Hakak, which is the power in the Hebrew. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baba Kasha, Nathan Lanawa, Hakak, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Call, Makala, Wakal, Madawa, Hakak, Latahar, Ha, Matazariah, Hakak, Lahakwaya, Hamathia, Hakak, Ad, Rakawath, Hatama Allah, Lagarashun, Ba'ashum, Yahushai, Thawada, Amun. Now, Hakak, which is the power in the English. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. Now for the blessings in the Hebrew. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Wa Mayaka'ala, Wa Alahayim, Matazab Ya'ah, Alawap Yahana, Ha Alawapya, Ha Sarunya, Hakwatazayoya, Hakayayoya, Waha Akwafia, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, throw water among. Now, the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, thank you. So be it. Now, Psalms 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'a, Ayanya, O, Hahoyim, Ma'ayon, Yaba'a, Izoya, Ma'ain, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Oyatun, Lamawat, Ragalka, O, Yanawam, Shamorka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Wala'a, Yayashun, Shawamar, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shamorka, Yahweh, Tozolka, Al-Yad, Yamyamka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Wairach, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashamorka, Makol, Rai, Yashamar, Ath Napashka, Yahweh, Yashamar, Taza'atka, Wabawa'atka, Ma'ita, Wa'ai, Awalam. Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up my eyes into the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. Now, Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahaim, O, Damaya, Laka, O, Takarash, Wa'o, Tashakwat, O, Kaya, Hana, Awayebyaka, Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, I, Amaka, Ya'ayamwa, Sawada, Waita, Yatazawa, I, Tazapawanyaka, Amorwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidum, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shum, Yasharala, Awada, Kaya, Naitazawa, Laba, Yakadwa, Al Yakub, Bar Yaf, Yakarafwa, Aholia, Adawam, Wa, Yashama Aliam, Mawa Abba, Wahagoyim, Gabal, Wayamawan, Wayamalak, Palashaf, Am Yashavya, Taza War, Gum, Asha War, Nalawa, I Mum, Hayawa, Zarwai, Labunya, Lawat, Salah, Aisha, Lahum, Kamudyan, Kasaya, Sara'ah, Kayubyan, Banakol, Koyashwan, Nashab Madwa, Bayam, Dara, Iowa, Dama, Ladama, Shayatamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Kaira, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakata Zor, Manai, Kol, Nasa Yakamwa, Ashor, Amorwa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Af, Nawa, Alahaya, Shayatamwa, Kagogala, Kakwash, Lapunya, Rawaka'a, Ka'ash, Tabaira, Ya'ira, Wa, Kalahaba, Thalahat, Harayum, Kun, Tharadatma, Basairaka, Wabasa, Wapaka, Tabahalum, Mala'a, Panyahum, Kuala One, Waya, Bakwashwa, Shemka, Yahweh, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Adai, Waya, Kaparwa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Diawa, Kaya, Ata, Shemka, Yahweh, Labaka, Al Yawan, Al Kor, Haratazah. Now, Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also was joined with them. They have opened the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zaid. Yea, all their princes, as Zabah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. You may be seated. All right, so before we get into the book of Numbers, chapter 22, we'll do a brief recap of Nehemiah, because this is where this comes from. For time's sake, I wasn't able to get as in depth as I would have last Sabbath, but we'll do that today. So we're going to start in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 11. Actually, Salakia, 13. I believe it's 13. Salakia, my fault. Nehemiah chapter 13, Salakia. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1. That's where we're going to start. This is the book of Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Bayayam, haha ya'a. Let's see. Nakwada, ba bata slakia. Bata pada. Let's see. Masha'a, Ba'a Ya'a. Hataza da Slakia. Wana Mataza Bath Ya'ab Baya Shad La'a Slakia La Wa no Yaba Wa'a I'm Ya'a I'm Ya Slakia Ba'a Bama Baya Ba Kwa Ha'ol Ha'ol Haya'um I'll it's like I'd Aya Baya La'a Kwaya Mam Slakia Kwa Da Maya Af Baya Ya'ash Da all Ba Ya Slakia Bala'am Baka'am Slakia Wa Ba'am Ya'am Ba yeah Wayash Ba'ad I'll Waya Ya Slakia Yawa Af Balatazam Laqua La Wa La Salakia. All Ha Yada'a Hakwa La'a Ba Slakia La Ba Da Ba'a Waya Haya Basham Taza'um Af Ha'af Wa Slakia Da'a Waya Ba Daya La'a Slakia Ladam Ba Ba'al Idab Maya Sha Da'al Wa Lawapa Daya or La Naya Ma Na'a All Ya'ash Ya'ab Haba Ba it's like Habaha Habataza Ba Naf Dataz Bal Sha Ba'af Baya'af All Hayanaya Kwada Ya'ab La Lata ba ya'a. Baya taza ash. La wa. La ash ba ya ba'a. Ga gada yala'a. Washa'am. Haya'a. La pa na'am. Baya slagi. Na'ath na ya'am. Ath ha'am na'a. Ka'a slagi. Ha'o ba ya haya. Wa'aba la yum. La slagi. Wa'am ya taza ashad. Haya slagi. Hada ga'at. Hath yada wa'ash. Yataza ha'ad. Mataza ya'af. Hala ya'am. Haya'a ma sha da ya'am. Ya'a sha taz ha'ai. Slagi. Sha'aid ya'am. Wa'af da ya'am. Da ya'maf. Haba hai na ya'am. Baba'o ta slagi. Za'a la'a slagi. La haya ya'afya. Baya dawa sham la'am. Baya ba'ash da'af. Shaya'am. Wayasha thayam. La'a da thakasha asha'at da'a. Mala'ar. Mala'ar. Baba'o. Ba'afya. O hama la ra. Wa'o pataza. Yama ya'am. Sha slagi. Nasha'a lathaya. Ma'ar. ba, no, it's like malara, wa'ad ba ya'a, la ya da ya sha la'am. Okay, Salakia. All right, so that's it for the Hebrew. So this is the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 13. We're going to go to verse 1. Start from the top. All right, Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1. And it says, on that day they read in the book of Moses, which is the law, in the audience of the people. And therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of God forever. Who are the Ammonites and the Moabites? The Ammonites will be the so-called Japanese today. Moabites will be the so-called Chinese. Now, right here in verse 1 alone, it shows that God wants separation between Israel and other nations, because these other nations are not allowed into the congregation of God forever, meaning forever. It's never going to change. So when these fake Israelites out here try to tell you that, oh yeah, you can bring, white people to the Sabbath, or, you could bring a Chinese person to a high holy day or something like that. No, the Most High has always wanted separation between us and other nations, right? So let's go to verse 2. Because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. Now, this is the key one we're going to be focusing on today. First of all, who is Balaam? What is this curse that he was going to put upon us? And how does a curse turn into a blessing, right? That's what we're going to be diving into. But we'll finish up the first 7 verses first, and then we'll get into Numbers chapter 22. Now, verse 3, it says, now it came to pass, when they have heard the law, that they separated from Israel all the mixed multitude, meaning that these heathen nations, they heard the law of God and they separated, right? They wanted to separate from Israel. And before this, Eliashib, the priest, this was the priest that I was talking about before, having the oversight of the chamber of the house of our God, was allied unto Tobiah. So Tobiah was another nation, right? This is why segregation, right? I know this is going to throw some people off. Us segregating from other other nations actually benefits so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. I know that's going to throw some people off because, it's Black History Month. In this country, they love Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King lied to all y'all. I'm sorry to tell y'all that, but it's the truth, right? He preached about integration, right? No, God never wanted that for Israel. But let's keep reading. Verse 5, and he had prepared for him a great chamber, where aforetime they laid the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of the corn, the new wine, and the oil, which was commanded to be given to the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the offerings of the priests. So at one time, originally, Levites, who are the so-called Haitians today, who are one of the 12 lost tribes of Israel, they were the ones who were the priests at the time, right? This was just a different time period. Now, of course, all nations, all tribes of our nation, if the Lord wants it, you, brother, can be anointed as a priest if the Lord allows it, right? You gotta prove yourself worthy first. But at this time, it was the Levites. Now, this is talking about a holy congregation, right? This is our temple for the Most High. This is why it's the house of God. You understand? Now, we read that it had the meat offerings, the frankincense, and the vessels, and the tithes of corn, the new wine, and the oil. So that sounds like what we have right here. You understand? We have the wine. I know you can't see it through the video, but we have our showbread, right? We have our oil. Matter of fact, so I can show everybody. We have our oil, right? So this is just things that we had in the holy congregation, things that we still hold up today, right? So let's keep reading. But in all this time was not I at Jerusalem, for in the 2 and 13th year of Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, came I unto the king, and after certain days obtained I leave of the king. So this is just showing you that we were living amongst other nations, right? Artaxerxes, king of Babylon, right? We were still, in a sense, under captivity, right? Under the authority of another nation. Verse 7. And I came to Jerusalem and understood of all of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah. Again, talking about Eliashib the priest, the evil that he did was allying with Tobiah. Tobiah was of another nation. He was never supposed to do that, right? The whole thing is, okay, holy means what? Holy means separate. You understand? Holy means separate, meaning that the Lord wants us to separate from other nations. They're not allowed in our holy congregation, all right? So now let's keep reading. Of the evil that Eliashib did for Tobiah in preparing him a chamber in the courts of the house of God, right? Eliashib was never supposed to do this. Let's continue. Verse 8. And it grieved me sore, therefore I cast forth all the household stuff of Tobiah out of the chamber. So Nehemiah, right, this brother right here, he was so upset because he understood that this is supposed to be a sacred place for the Lord, holy, separate from everything else. So the fact that there was a heathen inside of our holy congregation, house of God, oh, that pissed him off. You understand? Because you got to think, we have a law that we follow, right? The law was given to all so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Now, some of those laws are how to be clean, right? Just to go over some, sisters cannot come into the holy congregation if she's on her period because she's unclean. If you have sexual intercourse and a man spills his seed, he is unclean until the even. If a woman gives birth, she is unclean, depending on if it's a boy or a girl. Salakia, you can go into Leviticus. We can go over that another time. But for time's sake, I'll just let you know that there's different time frames if it's a girl or a boy, right? This is just going over some things that makes us clean. The unclean foods that we're supposed to not eat, such as pork, shrimp, crab, lobster, octopus, catfish, tuna, etc., etc. Now, the law was given to us so that we could be clean. However, other nations don't have that same law. I mean, look at Ammonites and Moabites today. The so-called Chinese and Japanese, they eat everything, man. All right, if it's alive and breathing, they'll find a way to cook it and eat it. You understand? I saw something on the internet one time. Shalom, Lord Christ, Adawan. I saw something on the internet one time, and it was this Moabite woman. She saw a turtle, right? Now, if you read in the book of Leviticus, it says that we're not supposed to eat reptiles. So for all my southern folk out there who like to eat them frogs' legs and them gators, I'm here to tell you right now, no, you're not supposed to be eating that. All right, so says God, not so says me. But Moabites and Ammonites and other nations, they eat these things, right? So this Moabite woman was eating this turtle, right? This is how disgusting it was. She took the turtle, I think it was like a soft-shell turtle or something like that. Took the turtle. It's still unclean regardless, but just to get more in depth, she didn't even clean it. She just took it up like, oh, okay, slapped it on the grill and cooked it alive, threw some seasoning on it and just ate it. Just like that. I'm thinking about it now and it's already kind of making me feel some type of salakia. But the whole point being is other nations are not clean the way that we are supposed to be clean. So when you take these other nations and you put them in the house of God, a holy congregation, a temple, if you will, it makes everything else unclean because they're touching everything, right? They're probably eating squid and shrimp and whatnot, leaving it all over the place. Who knows? They probably having sex in there, right? Committing fornication, homosexuality, pedophilia, you name it. Who knows? That's why the Lord never wanted other nations to come into the temple, right? But we're going to focus on something specific this class, right? So we're going to go back to verse 2. Salakia, just one moment. Salakia, just one moment. But the whole point being is, Salakia. Whole point being is the Lord wanted us to be separate. But we're going to focus on something very specific, right? So we're going to go back to the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13, verse 2. And it says, because they met not the children of Israel with bread and with water, but hired Balaam against them, that he should curse them. Howbeit our God turned the curse into a blessing. So this raises three questions that I proposed earlier. Who is Balaam? What is this curse that they're talking about? And how did God turn this curse into a blessing? So we're going to read about it. So now we can finally get into the book of Numbers. And we're going to go to chapter 22. So this is the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 1. And it says, and the children of Israel set forward and pitched in the plains of Moab on the side of Jordan by Jericho. We were living amongst the Moabites and the Ammonites at the time. And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab was sore afraid of the people because they were many. And Moab was distressed because of the children of Israel. You got to think, picture a whole bunch of Black, Latino, and Native men in an army, right? And they just marching, right? Looking strong, beards out, got the braids flowing, looking masculine. We were so intimidating towards Moab, right? They were distressed when they saw Israel, right? Let's keep reading. And Moab said unto the elders of Midian, now shall this company lick up all that are round about us, as the ox licketh up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of the Moabites at the time. So Balak was the king of the Moabites, right? So let's see what Balak does. Verse 5. He sent messengers, therefore, unto Balaam, the son of Beor the Pether. Now, this is Balaam that we're talking about, right? Which is by the river of the land of the children of his people, to call him, saying, behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Who's that talking about? That's talking about us. Remember that Pharaoh had us in captivity in Egypt. You can read that in the book of Exodus, right? Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. So they were very threatened. The very presence of us, just like today, is threatening to other nations. I know brothers go through this all the time, right? Brothers could just be minding their business, and you get labeled, you get labeled an overly aggressive black man, or they try to call Native Indians savages. They say that about our Hispanic brothers too. Just the mere presence of you, like you shaking people's boots just by you being here, brother. I want you to understand the imposing figure that you actually are, right? So says the Bible. But let's keep reading. Now it says, behold, there is a people come out from Egypt. Behold, they cover the face of the earth, and they abide over against me. Verse 6. Come now, therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people, for they are too mighty for me. So the king of Moab, Balak, right? He goes to Balaam, and he wants Balaam to curse Israel because he is so threatened by our presence, right? Let's keep reading. Preadventure I shall prevail, that we may smite them, and that I may drive them out of the land. For I wot that that he whom thou blesseth is blessed, and he whom thou curseth is cursed. So what this is talking about right here, this is the reputation of Balaam. So Balaam was known for his word. Whatever he said that shall be cursed, it was cursed. Whatever shall be blessed, it shall be blessed. So Balak, who was the king of Moab at this time, wanted to curse us. So he went to Balaam so that he could curse us, so that he could smite us, so that he could kill us. You think about that the next time, brother, you want to get yourself an Asian woman. Remember, at one time, they wanted to kill all of us. You understand? I know we talk a lot about Esau, right? Now, Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of. But the Lord don't want us integrating with any other nations because deep down in their spirit, they know that you are God's chosen people. And the fact that you exist is threatening to them. Hence, another reason why the Lord never wanted them in our holy congregations in the first place. He doesn't want them there. Look right here, you can already see the malice behind Moab right here, right? And you want them to come into the house of God? You want them to come into your home. That's what you want. You want to, what Martin Luther King say, integrate? No. And you can read all throughout the Bible and it shows you why you should not integrate with other nations, right? Let's keep reading. Now it says in verse 7, and the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the rewards of divination in their hand. And they came unto Balaam and spoke unto him the words of Balak. So now they're going to Balaam and they're trying to fulfill this request that Balak has handed out. Now let's go to verse 8. And he said unto them, lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. Now, this is very interesting right here, right? Now, here is a man of another nation, right? Balaam, who I believe also was a Moabite. So now it says that he's about to speak to the Lord. But wait a minute, hold on. Where are God's chosen people? Why does this heathen man have any type of relation with the Lord? Let me break it down to you feel like this. We are the Lord's people, right? We are the Lord's favorite, right? However, other nations in that time, they knew of the Most High. They knew who he was, and they knew who we are, right? We could take it back all the way to, let's go, Genesis. For those of y'all who don't know, I'll do a brief recap. When Abram, before his name was changed to Abraham, when he went into Egypt at the time, right? Salakia and Pharaoh was there, right? And at that time, Abram, he showed a moment of weakness. And he was afraid that other nations would come against him because Sarai, before her name was changed to Sarah, was his wife. And it said that she was a very fair woman, a very beautiful woman, right? So much that other nations were going to look at her and be like, oh, who's that? So Abram was afraid that he might die. Like they're going to try to kill him in order to get to her, right? So he told Sarai to tell everybody else that you are my sister. You're not my wife, you're my sister. And because of that, Pharaoh at that time, he saw Sarai. And I mean, if you're telling me that's your sister, well, that's fair game. You understand? It's fair game. So he wanted to have sex with Sarai. However, the Lord forbade that. And he was going to curse Pharaoh's whole house because he was about to have sex with another man's wife. Now, when Pharaoh found this out, he looked at Abram like, well, why didn't you tell me this was your wife? Like, man, get up out of here, man. You about to get the Lord, you about to get me in trouble with the Most High. So other nations knew of the Most High. Other nations to this day, they know of the Most High. It's not just us, you understand? We are the Lord's favorite. Understand that we are the Lord's people, but other nations also knew of it. So right here, Balaam, he's saying he's going to talk to the Most High to see if he can curse the children of Israel. But let's see what happened, right? This is the curse that was talked about in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 13, verse 2. Now it says right here in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 9. And God came unto Balaam and said, what men are these with thee? So the Most High is asking him a question like, who these folk? And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, behold, there is a people come out of Egypt. Salakia, just one moment. Shalom, Lord Christ, I don't want you. Are you called? Am I done with the service? I can finish up early though if you want. Concert, but I've only been there once. I don't remember the address. Sir. I've only been there once. Okay, Kano concert. What times came today? 3. Okay, Kano concert. All right, Shalom, guys. Salaki. Salaki. Let's see. Let's go back to verse 11. Salaki. So this is the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 11. Behold, there is a people come out of Egypt, which covereth the face of the earth. Come now, curse me then. Preadventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. So now Balaam is talking to the Most High and is asking the Most High to curse the children of Israel. Now let's read what happens. Verse 12. And God said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. So the Most High is telling them, I'm not cursing these people. These people are special. You understand? Verse 13. And Balaam rose up in the morning and said unto the princes of Balak, get you into your land, for the Lord refuseth to give me leave to go with you. So he's telling them, hey, look, sorry, I asked the Most High. He told me, hey, we can't touch them. You know, these are blessed people. They special, right? And the princes of Moab rose up, and they went unto Balak and said, Balaam refuseth to come with us. And Balak sent yet again princes, more and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. So now he's telling them, you know, I don't care what you got going on. Come with us, right? We need to curse these people. They're too mighty for us. They're too masculine and intimidating, right? The thing of it is, you know, we were all across the land. Blacks, Latinos, and natives all over the place, right? We were intimidated. You understand? So this is verse 15. And Balak sent yet again princes. I can read that. And Balak sent yet again princes more and more honorable than they. And they came to Balaam and said to him, thus saith Balak the son of Zippor, let nothing, I pray thee, hinder thee from coming unto me. For I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come, therefore, I pray thee, curse me these people. So now he's trying to bribe Balaam. Balak, the king of Moab, is trying to bribe Balaam. That's how desperate he is, right? Now let's see what Balaam does. Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, if Balak will give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord thy God, of the Lord my God, to do less or more. So he's telling him, right? Balaam is telling Balak, even if you give me all the riches of your house, right? I can't go against God. Even Balaam understood right here how powerful the Most High was, at least at this point. We'll get to that in a second, right? So he's telling them, you know, you can give me whatever you want. You can give me riches, all the gold, all the silver, whatever. It doesn't matter. The Lord told me that I can't curse these people. I can't go against them. So now it says, verse 19, now therefore I pray you, Tarry ye also here this night, and I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, If the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. So he's telling Balaam, the Most High is telling Balaam, okay, I'm going to give you some instructions. If these Moabites, right, these princes of Moab come back to you for the same request, you are to go with them. However, you're going to do what I tell you to do. You understand? Now, let's keep reading. And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass and went with the princes of Moab. Now, this is why it's so important for brothers and sisters to get in class, because something just happened right here. You understand? So in verse 20, the Lord told him, if the men come to get thee, then you'll go with them, but you're going to do what I want you to do. The instruction, attention to detail, was that if they come to get you, however, what does Balaam do? Let's read it again. Verse 21. And Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass and went with the princes of Moab. Meaning that he just went with them. They didn't come back to him for the request. He took it upon himself to go with Moab. You understand? Now let's read what happens once he does that. So in the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 22, and God's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his two servants were with him. So now the Lord was angered because this man did not follow instruction. He went against what God told him to do. He just went with Moab, right? And it says, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary, meaning that the Lord sent an angel to go against Balaam. You understand? The Lord ain't nothing to play with. So now, verse 23. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. Now, a few things right here, right? So it says Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. Now, usually when we read the word smite or smote in the Bible, right, usually means to kill, right? However, Balaam didn't kill the donkey, which is the ass that the Bible is speaking of right now. Because if he would have killed her, she wouldn't have the ability to turn her into the way, meaning turn her the other way. So what he did was, smote can also be used as a term to strike or to harm. You understand? So Balaam struck the donkey. He hurt the donkey because, let me bring it all together for you. The donkey can see the angel, and the donkey was scared. However, Balaam did not see the angel. So you got to understand, Balaam is like, what is going on? Why did you turn this way? You understand? So that's why he struck the donkey. So let's keep reading. Verse 24. But the angel of the Lord stood in a path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side, and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself onto the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. So now, round two. The angel is deliberately standing in the way of the donkey and Balaam because he's trying to go with Moab. You understand? But again, the donkey can see the angel. It sees the danger, right? So now it's trying to get away again. This time it bangs itself against the wall, right? And it hurts Balaam's foot. Now, keep in mind, Balaam still does not understand what's going on. He just thinks, the animal is just tweaking. You understand? So what does he do? He strikes the donkey again. Let's keep reading. Verse 26. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place, where was no way to turn neither to the right hand or to the left. So now you gotta think, okay, it's like a narrow passageway. So now there ain't nowhere to run. If you want to go that way, you gotta go that way or turn around, right? The angel stood there. Verse 27. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff. So now Balaam is just like fed up. He's like, okay, this is the third time this donkey is wilding right now. So now he's so angry, he just said, F it. Took the staff and started beating the donkey with it. Let's keep reading though. Verse 28. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, meaning the donkey. And she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? I just want to pause for a minute. Do you not understand how powerful the Most High actually is? The Lord can do whatever he wants to do. You understand? This sounds absolutely ludicrous to the average person, right? I remember the first time I saw this, and I had to call up a brother. I was like, Slagia, sir, I need a breakdown on this. Is this saying what I think it's saying right now? He's like, not. He gave me the breakdown. The Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? Yes, the donkey talked. I can't find a better way to tell it to you. The donkey talked. But why did the donkey talk? I know it sounds crazy, right? Just remember, this isn't some Disney princess movie full of talking animals. The donkey was able to speak because the Lord wanted it to speak. The Lord did that. Just like the Lord gave the donkey the ability to see the angel, but Balaam couldn't. You see what the Lord can and can't do? Also, if I could take a second real quick, angels are real. Like, Salagia, angels are real. There's an angel watching you right now. There's an angel right here with me right now. I know that might kind of throw some people off. I can't see the angel. I can't see them. But they can see me, and they can see you. You understand? They're always there, watching you, taking records of you, the good and the bad, and reporting it to the Most High, right? And if the Lord wants you to, the Lord can give you the ability to see said angel. Or the Lord can make you blind to that angel. You understand? Now let's keep going. So this is the book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 29. And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now I would kill thee. So Balaam is so angry, and he's talking back to the donkey like, you keep disobeying me. I'm trying to go with these Moabites. I'm trying to go with Balak, the king of Salakia, Moab, to fulfill this request. You understand? And you're messing it up. I already hit you 3 times. If I had a sword with me, I'd kill you right now because you're pissing me off. That's how angry Balaam is, right? But again, why is he like this? Because he doesn't understand what's actually going on. Let's keep going. Now it says in verse 30, and the ass said unto Balaam, am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, nay. So now the donkey is trying to talk. I know it sounds crazy, Salakia. The donkey's talking to Balaam, right? But it's because the Most High wanted it to, right? It's man, Salakia. So this donkey is talking to Balaam, and she is telling him pretty much, have I not always obeyed you? Have I not always been a good donkey? Have I not always done what you told me since I was a baby? Ever since you had me? And Balaam's like, okay, yeah, you have always done what I told you to do, right? So now let's get into verse 31, right? The book of Numbers, chapter 22, verse 31. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way. Going back to what I said previously, there's an angel there, Akim. There's an angel there, Akwathim. You just can't see them because the Lord doesn't want you to see them. But if the Lord wants you to see them, the Lord can make it so. So now the Lord opened up the eyes of Balaam so that he could see this angel that the donkey was so terrified of, right? Now let's continue reading. And his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face. So now Balaam's like, oh damn, okay. So this is why the donkey was tripping. Now he sees this angel with a sword in his hand, ready to kill him. So he immediately falls down on his face. He's like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sorry. Salakia, So now let's keep reading. Verse 32. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, wherefore thou hast smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me. So now the angel is talking to Balaam, and he's questioning him. So you struck the donkey 3 times, right? Really? Okay, well, here I am to stand in your way. Now let's keep reading. And the ass saw me and turned from me these 3 times. So he's telling Balaam, the reason why your donkey was tripping was because it saw me, but you didn't. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee and saved her alive. So he's now letting Balaam know the gravity of the situation. You understand? He's letting Balaam know, if your donkey didn't do what it did and it kept going forward, I would have killed you and I would have let the donkey live because you went against God. The Lord ain't nothing to play with, man. Salakia. The Lord ain't nothing to play with, you understand? It's very important to understand this. This is light work for the Most High. He's just showing you what he's capable of, right? So let's keep going. Verse 34. And Balaam said unto the angel of the Lord, I have sinned, for I knew not thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displease thee, I will get me back again. So he's like, I'm so sorry for what I've done. You know what? In fact, I'll just take the donkey and we can just go back to my place. We can just pretend like this never happened. Let's keep going though. Verse 35. And the angel of the Lord said unto Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak. So now the Lord's letting him know again, okay, you already there now. You were supposed to wait for them to come to you, but you took it upon yourself to carry out your own orders. So since you're there, okay, you're going to carry out with the plan. You're going to go with Balak. However, the Most High is reiterating this. You're going to do what I tell you to do. I'm going to give you specific instructions, and you are going to carry them out. That's what's going to happen. So now, verse 36. And when Balak heard that Balaam was come, he went out to meet him unto the city of Moab, which is in the border of Arnon, which is in the utmost coast. Salakia. Verse 37. And Balak said unto Balaam, did I not earnestly send unto thee to call thee? Wherefore camest thou not unto me? Am I not able indeed to promote thee with Slakia, thee to honor. Let's keep going. And Balaam said unto Balak, Lo, I am come unto thee. Have I now any power at all to say anything? The word that God putteth in my mouth, that I shall speak. So, okay, Balaam is letting him know, okay, I'm here. I'm with you. But I'm going to say what the Lord says. Okay? Now, right here, Balak doesn't fully understand. He thinks, okay, Balaam's here, so he must have got some grace from the Most High so he can have the ability to curse the children of Israel. At least that's what he's thinking. He doesn't understand what Balaam's real mission is there. This is what Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 2 was talking about. The curse that got turned into a blessing. We're going to read about it. So it says right here in verse 39, and Balaam went with Balak, and they came into Kirjath Hazaph. And Balak offered oxen and sheep and sent to Balaam, and to the princes they were with him. And it came to pass in the morning, or like on the morrow, that Balak took Balaam and brought him up into the high places of Baal, that thence he might see the utmost part of the people. So now we're going to get into verse 23. We'll see how far we get with verse 23, right? So I can explain everything. So this is just a quick recap for those who might have not tuned in the beginning of the class. We were living amongst the Moabites and the Ammonites at this time, right? We were integrated amongst them, which the Lord forbade, right? And at that time, we had traitors and backstabbers. We had a priest who, by the name of Eliashib, he was allowing for other nations to come into the holy congregation. Now, the Lord did not want this. Nehemiah was so angry, right? He was so angry that he had to check them, right? He went in there and he took out all of Tobiah's belongings. He doesn't want a heathen's belongings in the temple of the Most High. You understand? And if you continue reading in the book of Nehemiah, at one point, Nehemiah, he looks up to the Most High and he wants the Most High to recognize the works that he's doing. He wanted God to not destroy that place because it was profaned, right? Going back to keeping the Sabbath holy, keeping yourselves holy, more importantly, right? Because you don't even want to profane yourself by dealing with other nations. You understand? That's what Nehemiah was going through at that time. You understand? So, we'll keep reading. So we just read about how Balak, who was the king of Moab at the time, traveled to Balaam because Balaam was famous for whatever he says comes true. Whatever he curseth, gets cursed. Whatever he blesseth, becomes blessed. And he wanted him to curse the children of Israel because he was so terrified of us. That's just like today. I don't know. I used to think this thing before. I used to think like, why white people just can't leave us alone, right? You already won. You already done colonized us. You took our native language away, right? You set it up to where now Hispanics aren't even really allowed in the country like that anymore. You try to call them illegal immigrants when the biggest illegal immigrant in the world is the so-called white man. The French, the Dutch, who else? Spain, Portugal, you name it, right? The British. They were the invaders. Nobody wanted them here. How do you think we got all these sicknesses and diseases today? All these things that you see in America now, my brothers and sisters are in the hospital, right? I'm talking pre-COVID, right? I'm not talking about COVID now. I'm talking about pre-COVID, the flu, all this stuff. You want to know why we got all these things? The measles, chicken pox, pneumonia. It's because we got them from mingling with other nations, the white man. Because remember, the native Indians were a very clean people, right? Very honorable, very distinguished, right? Until the Europeans came in. And because Europeans did not know proper hygiene, again, going back to the fact that other nations do not follow the law because the law was not given to them and they don't know proper hygiene, Hence why heathens are not allowed in the temple of God, right? Because Europeans were like this. Native Indians got sick. Black people got sick, right? Because we were living in horrible conditions when they had us on them slave ships. Mexicans got sick. Salvadorians got sick. Brazilians got sick. Puerto Ricans got sick. The list goes on, right? It goes on and on and on. That's why. Because of integration. That's why. So, we're going to continue reading. Verse 23. We'll see how far we get with that. So, this is the book of Numbers, chapter 23, verse 1. And Balak said and Balaam said unto Balak, build me here 7 altars, and prepare me here 7 oxen and 7 rams. And Balak did as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered on every altar a Balak and a ram. And Balaam said unto Balak, stand by thy burnt offering. I will go. Peradventure the Lord will come to me, and whatsoever he showeth me, I will tell thee. And he went to an high place. So the setting up burnt offerings for the Most High, right? Now, again, Balaam understands that he has to do whatever the Most High tells him to do. Balak is under the impression that, okay, the children of Israel are about to be cursed. I'm about to get what I want. I'm about to kill them. I'm about to smite them. I'm about to get them up out of this land, right? So let's read. Verse 4. And God met Balaam, and he said unto him, I have prepared 7 altars, and I have offered upon every altar a bullock and a ram. Verse 5. And the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth, and said, return unto Balak, and thus thou shalt speak. Verse 6. He returned unto him, and lo, he stood by his burnt sacrifice, he and all the princes of Moab. Verse 7. And he took up his parable and said, Balak, the king of Moab, hath brought me from Aram, out of the mountains of the east, saying, come curse me, Jacob, and come defy Israel. How shall I curse whom God hath not cursed? How shall I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? Hold on now. This don't sound like a curse. So now Balaam is saying, how can I curse those? Put it in context for you. How can I curse the people that are blessed? How can I defy whom the Lord hath not defied? Meaning, how can I go against what God wants? Right? And he's proposing it as a question. Verse 9. For from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count the dust of Jacob, and the number of the 4th part of Israel? Let me die the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. And Balak said unto Balaam, what hast thou done unto me? I took thee to curse mine enemies, and behold, thou hast blessed them altogether. This is talking about the curse that got turned into a blessing. How did it happen? Balaam followed what the Most High told him to do. He told him, okay, you're going to go with the Moabites. They want to curse Israel. Okay, bet that. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to do what I tell you to do. He went in there under the impression, Balak was under the impression that, okay, he's about to curse Israel. But instead, what did Balaam do? Balaam actually decided, okay, I'm going to do what the Most High told me to do. And the Most High instructed him to bless Israel, not curse them. And now, now that Balak, who is the king of Moab, he realizes this now. He's like, wait a minute. What are you doing? I told you to curse these people and you're blessing them? How dare you? Let's keep going. Verse 12. And he answered and said, Must I not take heed to speak that which the Lord had put in my mouth? Balaam does something very repetitive. I don't know if you caught on to it. He keeps letting people know, how can I go against the Most High? Balaam, he had to get some checking, as you can see, because he did at one point defy the Most High, and the Most High checked that by putting an angel who was ready to kill his ass right there, Salakia. But he's letting them know, you got to think. This is the Most High we're talking about. The Most High makes kings. The Most High makes nations. The Most High destroys nations. Y'all remember Egypt? Yeah, Egypt ain't nothing no more. Egypt was once the superpower on the planet, but now it's not. Nobody cares about them. Ancient Rome and Greece, that was once the superpower on the planet. Now it's not. You see how there's a pattern? Who's the superpower now? It's America. What do you think is going to happen to America? Look at what's happening to America. It's slowly being destroyed. The same way the Lord destroyed Egypt. You understand? So Balaam, he's trying to let them know, like, you're trying to tell me to curse these people, right? I hear what you're saying, but the Most High just told me something else. And you want me to go against him? We're talking about the same guy that sent an angel down who I couldn't even see, who was going to kill me. And if it wasn't for my donkey being so damn afraid of the thing, that thing would have killed me. That angel would have killed me. And I wouldn't even know what happened until it was already over. That's the Most High right there. That's the power of God right there. Balaam right here, he understands this. You understand? Balak, he's a Moabite. He's a heathen. You understand? Like, he doesn't, again, going into the mentality, right? He's a king. There's a trend with heathen kings. You understand? Just like Pharaoh, right? Balak, who was the king of Moab at the time, he thinks of himself higher than what he really is supposed to. He's offering Balaam riches of gold and silver. He's telling him he's going to bestow upon him a great honor. I'll give you whatever I want. But Balaam understands that there's nothing that you could give me that'll make me turn against the Most High. You're talking about the same God that sent an angel down. Can you do that? I can't do that. You understand? Like this is just, you're just a man. You're just a man. Yeah, you're the king of Moab. I mean, who's Moab? Salagia, like, who cares? You're a man, of flesh and blood, and a beating heart. We're talking about God right now. What's a king to a God? God makes kings. He's trying to get that through Balak's head. You understand? But Salakia, we'll end it right there, right? We'll continue in the book of Numbers, chapter 23, right? In next class, we'll get to chapter 24. We'll continue, with Balak and Balaam, right? But I want brothers and sisters to understand the context of what we're reading. And I want to get a little bit more in depth of some history, right? Because this is Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian history, you understand? I know we go over a lot of lessons, Salagia, but I want to go over some history this class, and we'll continue next class. But the whole moral of this is to understand that this is the Most High we're talking about, right? The Lord wants you to be separate. Integration never benefited Israel. You understand? When I say integration, there's nothing interracial about a Black man being with a Hispanic woman. There's nothing interracial about a Native Indian woman being with a Hispanic man, right? There's nothing interracial about that. The reason why you even have the names that you have is because of your oppressor. Who called you an African American? Your oppressor. Who called you Mexican? Who called you Salvadorian? Who called you Brazilian? You know, Brazilians speak Portuguese, right? Who conquered that land? Portugal and Spain. You could read about that in the transatlantic slave trade. That's history. You understand? Why do our Hispanic brother, first of all, even the term Hispanic, that's oppression. You understand? Because Hispanic, who gave you that name? Before you were called Puerto Ricans, you were the Ephraimites that the Bible speaks of. You understand? Even the term Puerto Rico is just Spanish for rich port. Why is it called rich port? Because Christopher Columbus and his fellow conquistadors, or conquerors, as you would call them, colonizers, went to that land. They brought slaves, you understand, and they went there because it was very rich in resources, mainly gold. Hence the term rich port. You're called Puerto Rican because Spaniards gave you that name. You're a Brazilian because the Portuguese gave you that name. You're called Hispanic. First of all, what is Hispanic? Hispanic comes from what? Hispania, which is today's modern day Spain and Portugal. I mean, come on, man. I'm trying to paint a picture for you. I'm trying to help you out here. I don't even got to go into the Bible for that. That's just history right there in itself. You can read about that on the internet. We got Google. We have Google. All right. Everybody got a smartphone nowadays. It's easy as hell. All right. You don't even got to go to the library anymore. Just download a Kindle on your phone and you can buy a phone. It's like you buy a book on your phone. I could do it right now if I wanted to. And I could sit back and I could read all about the history of Puerto Rico and Brazil and the Negroes and Mexicans and Native Indians. Right there. It's that simple. The answers are right in front of you, brother and sister. But you have to come into the truth because guess what? You're not going to learn any of these things if you go anywhere else. What TD Jake's going to teach you? What he going to do? What's his name? Brother Polite? What he going to teach you? He was a child molester, right? Christianity, what did... Salakia, I'm not trying to go on a tangent right now, but what did black people believe in before Christianity? What did Native Indians believe in before Christianity? What did Hispanics believe in before the Virgin Mary or before the Roman Catholic Church? Those are your oppressors' religions. Religion is fake. The Virgin Mary, the Roman Catholics, Christianity, Buddhism, Egyptology, it's all garbage made up by heathens. And when you follow that, you get away from God. You understand? Don't follow what your oppressors have put for you. Okay? This is why the Lord wants you to be separate from them. Be separate. Somebody gonna call you a racist? Good. If me loving only my people and my people only makes me a racist, then damn it, I guess I'm the biggest racist out there. So be it. I love my people so much that I don't have enough love for other nations. Sorry, not sorry. Deal with it. But the only way you're going to learn your history right here is if you come into the Isupk under Commanding General Yahana, where real priests, captains, and officers, Salakia, generals, captains, and officers, can teach you the Bible, which is your history. It's the only way. Salakia, I'll just end it there. I'll just check online if any brothers and sisters have any questions before I close the class. All right, seems that nobody has any questions. Salakia, just one moment. Okay, no questions. Okay, I'll sign Christ. All right, so with that being said, Amijum, just me up here, which means to stand. La Yasharala, which is to Israel. Amadiam upon Yahakwadam, which means to stand and face the east. We'll be getting started with the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. This is the Lord's Prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemaya, Quadash, Haya, Shemka, Salakia, Yahweh, Malakutka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Haya, Bashamaya, Latanmanawa, Lakam, Ko, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawatnawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawatnawa, Wala'a, Tabayanawa, Manasaiwan, Abal, Habashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahataparath, Lawalumium, Aman. Now in the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. Now, Hakak, which is the power in the Hebrew, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Baba Kasha, Latan Lanawa, Lakam, or Salakia, Latan Lanawa, Hakak, Larapa'ah, Ko, Makala, Wako, Madawa, Hakak, Latahar, Ha, Matazariah, Hakak, La Aquia, Hamathia, Hakak, Io, Rakawath, Hatama Allah, Lagara Shun, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Aman. Now, Hakak, which is the power in the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please give us the power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, to cast them out. In the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you. So be it. No sweat, sis. Slack. The blessings in the Hebrew, slack. Barakatah Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Alahayim, Matazab Ya'ah, Alawat Yahana, Ha Alawapim, Ha Saronyim, Ha Kwatazayoyin, Haka Yayoyin, Waha Akwafyin, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Thawada, Aman. Now the blessings in the English. Bless you, Yahweh, and Yahweh Shai, and Michael, and the angels, Commanding General Yohanan, the generals, the captains, the officers, the troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you. So be it. Now I'll go over Psalms 121. In the Hebrew, Asha'ah, Ayanya, O, Pahoyim, Ma'ayan, Yaba'ah, Izoya, Ma'aim, Yahweh, Aisha, Shemayim, Wa'arataza, Ayatan, Amawat, Ragolka, O, Yanawam, Shamoka, Hana, La'ah, Yanawam, Bala'ah, Yayashun, Shawamar, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shamorka, Yahweh, Tazorka, Oyad, Yamyamka, Yawamam, Hashamash, La'ah, Yakaka, Wayarah, Belayala, Yahweh, Shamorka, Makol, Rai, Yashamor, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamor, Taza'aka, it's like it. Waba Wa'atka, Maita, Wa'ai, Iwalam. Now, Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up my eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in, from this time forth and even forevermore. Now, Psalms 83 in the Hebrew. Alahaya, O, Damaya, Laka, O, Lakarash, Wa, Lashakwa, O, Kaya, Hana, Awayebyaka. Yahama, Yawan, Ra'ash, Ayah, Amaka, Ya'amwa, Sawada, Waita, Tazawa, Ayah, Tazapawanyaka, Amorwa, Lakawa, Wanakakidum, Magoya, Wala'a, Yazakar, Shum, Yasharala, Iwada, Kaya, Naitazawa, Laba, Yakawa, Al-Yaka, Bar-Yath, Yakarathwa, Aholya, Adawam, Wa, Yashama'alyam, Mawa'aba, Wahagoyam, Gabor, Wayama1, Wayamalak, Palashaf, Am Yashabya, Tazawar, Gum, Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Hayawa, Zorawai, Labunya, Lawat, Salah, Aisha, Lahum, Kamudyam, Kasaya, Sara'ah, Kayabyan, Banakol, Koyashwan, Nashamanwa, Bayan, Dara, Hayawa, Dama, La'adama, Shayatamwa, Nada, Yamawa, Kaira, Wakaza Abba, Wakaza Bak, Wakata Zor, Manai, Ko, Nasayakamwa, Ashur, Amorwa, Nayarasha, Lanawa, Af, Naawaf, Alahayim, Alahayim, Shayathamwa, Kagogala, Kakwash, Lapunya, Rawaka'a, Ka'ash, Taba'ira, Ya'ira, Wa, Kalahaba, Falahat, Harayum, Kun, Taradatma, Basa'araka, Wabasa, Wapathka, Tabalum, Mala'a, Panyahum, Kuala Waya, Wakwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Bahawa, Ayai, Waya, Kapawa, Waya, Abadwa, Waya, Daiwa, Kaya, Ata, Shamka, Yahawa, Babaka, Ayawan, Alcohol, Harataza. Psalms 83 in the English. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Ored, and like Zaid. Yea, all their princes, as Zabah, and as Amunah, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as a stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Lord, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. All right, shalom, Israel.